Vanilla podcasters, did you know that 80% of our daily thoughts are negative? It's a crazy stat. What do we do about that? What does that mean?
Yeah.
We're going to be unfolding it.
Isabon, I want you to stop right there, and I want you to give me an honest answer, right?
Yeah.
What are you thinking about right now?
Shoot, I was nothing.
Oh, what?
I was getting ready for what you were going to ask me.
Okay,
So I was just
okay.
fully expecting.
Okay, so it wasn't.
I was thinking about what I was saying, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I was thinking about exactly what I was saying.
Okay. But we're saying that 80% of our thoughts daily
Yeah.
tend towards to be more negative than positive.
I was actually thinking about how I low-key suck.
Okay.
I'm just not a cool person, you know?
Okay.
Okay.
Negative thoughts.
Okay.
No, I actually wasn't.
Okay.
Funny way to start the pod, eh? Yeah, what are you thinking about right now?
I don't know. I think it's hard to capture what you're actually thinking in a moment.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest. I'm going to put my hand up and say I do talk to myself quite a lot.
Out loud or what?
Nah, in my head. But if you catch myself in my room, occasionally it could be out loud.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like to analyze situations. Is anyone like if you have a conversation with someone during the day
Oh, yeah.
and it goes well or it doesn't go well, or maybe you need to prepare for a conversation the next day, I like go through the conversation. What am I going to say?
Yeah.
Rehearse it kind of in my head. I'm a bit of a self-talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I tend to look back at some conversations and like run them through in my head.
Yeah.
Like, why did I say that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did I
Like,
say
like,
that? And you actually just like physically cringing. I did it today. I
Yeah.
was just like, I thought about something and I was just like, oh
Yeah.
gosh. You know?
yeah. I've talked to a few people, and like some people have like a catalog of things that can like get them at 3 a.m. where they're just like, oh, and they start like cringing in their head.
Yeah.
I think I have too many. Like I've lost track. Like I've just let go of a lot of stuff because I like.
It's just I kind of think that's a lot of people. Right?
Yeah, I guess that's life, eh?
The funny thing is, what have you said to like that person?
Yeah.
They've probably forgotten about it, you know,
Yeah.
but it just sticks in your
But
head.
there's
Oh,
probably
that was
one. There's
so
probably one
awkward.
person that remembers something.
Yeah, kind of though.
It
But like you think
sucks,
about the
yeah.
human brain though, I'm actually so glad that we forget a lot of things, because if you actually dwell on everything that happened,
Yeah.
you know, like your brain would just be like there'd be so many things that you just I said that and probably shouldn't have said that, or I said that and did that come off in the right way.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a difference between just like a little bit of negative talk than dwelling. Like I feel like dwelling could be quite a bit different than just a negative thought. Like what even is a negative thought is like, oh, like I'm doing something. Oh, I could be doing this better, or like, oh, like,
Yeah.
like, yeah. What even is it?
Yeah.
I was looking at some definitions earlier.
Oh, look at Levi being prepared over here.
Pucky.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, I was using ChatGPT to think of some negative thoughts.
No shame.
And it came up classic ChatGPT with like a whole essay of like what a negative thought was.
Yeah.
So I said simplify it for me in 10 words.
Beautiful.
Ooh, love
Yeah.
And this is I've got 5 here. I've got 5 here, right? So
5
maybe I'll
words?
just pick one of them. It says one of them is focusing on worst case scenarios or negative outcomes in situations.
Right.
Yeah. So self-criticism, thoughts about abilities, worth, or potential for success. So I think it's about also like some future outcome situations, like thinking you're going to fail, or like there's a
Yeah.
failure aspect to it.
Yeah. I think it's easy just with what we do. It's like, it's easy to look at like, oh, imagine if I did everything perfectly and I'd be so efficient and I'd be here by now and I'd be more successful and I'd be friends with these people maybe and these people would think better of me. And you just think about what could have been if you did everything perfectly.
Yeah.
But that's never the case. Like we're imperfect people. We're not going to do everything perfectly.
Yeah, that's true.
I listened to something recently. A dude said at the end of each day, you want to look back and just actively think about 4 things that you did well on that day.
Yeah.
Or it was something like that, you know, like a few things you did well on that day and just be like, okay, I did this well, I did this well. So you can go to sleep with like a bit of a positive mindset, you know? What's in the past in the past? This is what I did good today. Let's get into tomorrow.
Yeah, I got a few mates that do journaling. Like, I guess that would like you could do a bit of that and that. A little bit of gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah, that ties in.
your mum Ezra do like for a whole 100 days or something? Had to write something that she was grateful for.
Yeah.
For a book she read or
It's
something.
1,000 things I'm thankful for. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Whoa.
1,000 different
You have to
things.
write 1,000 things
In
you're
a
thankful
month.
for.
I don't know how long it was, but Yeah, it was some time period. Yeah, it's a lot though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
1,000 is a lot.
Should we wake her up and just like see her thoughts on
Yeah,
it?
I'll grab the book real quick. Put it not down here.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't actually do too much gratitude. Oh, maybe subconscious. Like maybe in the mornings when you have like a coffee in your hand.
Yeah.
I'm a big coffee guy. Like if you, I know a lot of people do like mindfulness in the morning. I don't like specifically do that, but like maybe like indirectly, I do a bit of gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I have like I don't know if anyone else gets like that. Like you just want to call your mum quickly or like call someone you care about and just say like, just checking in. And then they're just
Yeah.
like, oh, why are you checking in? And it's like, you kind of have this moment of gratitude and it's like, you realize how much they actually mean, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's so sad when they like say to you like, what are you doing? You're being weird.
I just wanted you to know I love
Damn,
you.
man,
You're the best thing in my life. Like,
I'm not showing enough love enough.
yeah.
I actually appreciate when Tremaine gives me a call though. Like he gave me a call like yesterday, was it? When I was like, you know,
Yeah.
I was
nice,
like, that's
yeah.
good, man. You know, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I try to have like a good yarn with someone when I give them a call. Yeah, it was good. It was good catching up. I was gutted because I had just gone for a run.
Yeah.
And I thought you were working. And I actually did think, oh, Levi would want to come on this. And I thought of the day, I was like, oh, it's Tuesday. If it was Monday,
Yeah.
because you got the Monday off, eh? Oh, long weekend,
yeah.
everyone. And then I was like, oh, no, he won't have the day off. But then I called you after my run, and you're like, oh, I've just been sitting at home. You're like, I've been washing the car or something. And I was like, oh, damn it.
Dang, yeah. Unfortunate timing, eh?
All right, Ezra. What do you think makes us have negative thoughts in society and the world around us today? Like why like, you know, if you want, you can maybe share maybe like what makes you have some negative thoughts, you know? You don't have to get specific if you know, but just in general.
The ultimate cause of it? You
Yeah,
kind of mean?
yeah.
Okay. Would it come from the devil, do you think?
Okay.
Interesting. What was that look? That was a crazy face. You were like, here we go.
We're getting spiritual.
Faith-based podcast.
Yeah.
That's a great thought. I just didn't see it going there. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what
For
you're
it.
meaning, but ultimately, okay, where does negative thoughts?
No, I like that. We were actually talking about before the podcast. I mean, yeah, I feel like I've talked quite a bit. So
No, go on. No.
we were talking about before the podcast is, you know, all of us here are Christians, and we believe that Adam and Eve were made perfect, and then they ate the fruit and they became, you know, sinful, and we are now, you know, sinners from that point, and through Jesus Christ we can be saved. But what would it have been like before the fall? Like, was there any negative thoughts going on before Adam and Eve ate the apple? Like, what was going on in their head? What was their self-talk like? Was it just all positive? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those questions where I don't know if there's a definite answer on that.
Yeah.
And I feel like saying if you have 100% positive thoughts, like that's kind of a weird reality as well. So, yeah.
Do we want to have 100% positive thoughts, or is some negative thoughts
like
healthy?
there can be some like loving correction. I
Is
guess
that
it's
positive? Is that's probably positive still though?
And would there be any
you'd
need
say.
for correction if there was no
yeah,
sin?
like, yeah.
It's a great
If
point.
there was no sin, well, yeah, that's quite a
It's a DP.
it's a bit of like an alternative reality because it's kind of the world we live in, you know.
Yeah.
But like, it's a deep thought for sure.
But
Yeah.
I think ultimately, like, I guess from the devil, negative thoughts come from. But it often comes from, it manifests from like beating ourselves up a little bit, you know?
I think it can get so deep, because there'd be so many reasons why you could have a negative thought. You could you can track it back to like babies, how you're nurtured as a baby. They've got crazy studies, but the reality is, you know, everyone's got them. You know, well, most people have them,
Oh, everyone has
and
them to an
if you have it
extent.
to a high degree, it's like quite a big problem. So.
Every single person on this planet
Yeah,
has
I think
negative
like it's
thoughts
not.
at times.
I feel like it's easy to think like, oh, I only have these negative thoughts. Like I must like everyone's studying at uni and sitting in the library and they're just,
And just
happily
blissful, yeah.
typing away and talking to each other. But there'd be so many people that are actually just thinking like, oh man, I'm just so bad at uni, or like all these people are smarter than me, like, or like having these bad thoughts, and you just wouldn't even know about it because like you actually can't unless someone be super vulnerable.
Yeah, and people don't often share about that stuff with
Yeah.
random people.
Yeah, invalid. He's just like, we're gonna share some thoughts on the podcast for the whole world to see.
Do you think though, like, how do you? Because I was also reading a book and it talked about that. We can have triggers that we've experienced from long ago that we haven't dealt with, or negative thoughts.
Right.
If we haven't dealt with those, realities, or maybe things that happened when we were a bit younger, or things that happened in our lives, they can cause major impact in the future. Like, how do I deal with a negative thought?
Well, we're not trained like psychologists or anything like that, so I feel like whatever we say is not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
We haven't actually studied too much into
Yeah.
how to fix.
Yeah.
But let's go around. Is there any tactics you use, Ezra, to combat negative thoughts?
Shoot, I think filling yourself with more God and like more of the Holy Spirit is a great way to do it. Like starting your mornings in the Word and praying, it probably just puts you in a great mindset, for the rest of the day. Whereas if you're starting straight onto social media and you just start, like, that can trigger negative thoughts in terms of comparison. I think how you start your day can be huge. It's kind of two there, God and starting your day. What do you guys think?
I think that was really good. Like, being connected to God. When I'm really connected to God, I don't think I've ever had any serious negative thoughts. If
Like
I'm
when you're in God's
really
presence.
in touch with God's presence, I think that's a remarkable thing when you really have like a moment with the Holy Spirit. It's just everything just
You're at
like
peace, eh?
just like, it's crazy. Like, but to be honest, like, I don't get that all the time as well. So I have to actually like, sorry, what was the question? Like, how do you fight
negative thoughts?
Yeah, I have to just endure it. I'd say I have to just endure it, and I think you can. It's just
I think. Sorry, do you mind if I?
You gift me.
I think also part of it is a negative thought coming to your brain, but thinking about stuff is also, our thoughts are a choice. In a sense, like, you can choose whether to dwell on something or not.
Yeah, or engage in it.
It's there's the Bible verse in that whoever lusts at a woman has already committed adultery in his heart.
Yeah,
like, that's because he's actively thinking about it and lusting over it.
Yeah,
and it's the
it's a
same
choice-
with negative
a
thoughts.
choice in
We
his
can
head.
choose to
yeah,
dwell on these negative things.
yeah. True. That's a really good point. You could say, man, I do suck at study, or you could say, oh, like, I get all right grades. I'm about average, like, and just be like, just real with it. Like, if I work harder, I can get better, or like. But your thoughts can be a lot more critical. It can be like, no, you suck compared to everyone else, or you're like gonna fail this test. Where it's like, well, I could fail it, but I'm here. I'm at uni right now. I'm doing a pretty good step not to be failing it. Like,
I think if you be self-aware of what's going on in your brain and actually value the thoughts actually higher than maybe sometimes we do, because I've tried to be more conscious of actually self-evaluating what I'm thinking and actually being aware of the thoughts that are going on in my brain.
Oh, okay.
wait, say that again.
What do you mean by being aware of it?
Well, I feel like, like, for example, I asked you, like, what were you thinking? And you were like, oh, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you can just be like daydreaming and just be like so mindlessly daydreaming. But if you could actually, I'm trying to be more aware of what I'm actually thinking and being aware of that. Like, being self-aware of what I'm thinking.
I think that's
and
quite good.
Picking up from Tremaine's point, one of the things I've been telling myself recently, which I don't know if it's a good thing, but being more like, if I'm having a bad day, like, okay, I'm having a bad day, but it will pass. Like, like the day will pass, you know what I mean? And that, in a week's time, I'm not going to also be in this like dwell state, So yeah.
I've heard this. I think my mum said it a few times, but this like phrase of taking thoughts captive, like the devil can probably plant things into your head again.
I think it's a verse.
Yeah. Like, you can hear it. Like, it's just whatever the thought might be. Like, oh, you're useless at this. Like, oh, there it is. There's that thought. Like, here it is in my head again. The devil's trying to put that in my head again. Let me take that captive. I know that's a lie. And like, let me just like move on from that, like you said, being aware of it. It's like, there's that thought again. It's not truth. That's a lie. How can I remove that from my thoughts?
Yeah. I actually saw a study where it says it's a theory that your thoughts affect your feelings and actions, but then your feelings also affect your actions and thoughts. And then your actions affects your feelings, and so it's like a 3 kind of way thing. So like, I guess like if you're having negative thoughts, like you could just do like an action to like.
Oh, I see.
So it's like, I'm like, I suck at talking to people, I could go knock on a door and do sales and just prove, well, I'm not. Like Ezra the other day, you got a good sale.
Yeah.
You know, like you could do that. I guess that could be an option.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to go, or you could just
Your actions will count.
Yeah.
Will counter your thoughts.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting theory that I looked into a bit. Yeah.
That is pretty on.
Yeah, I thought like how crazy true it is, because when you're feeling good, like a lot of the time when you're feeling good, you act pretty good as well. So it does like I can do anything today. When you feel like when things are when you're having good thoughts and good feelings, it's kind of like
You're feeling it.
everything's kind of going pretty good.
I've noticed it to the fullest extent on the basketball court.
Yeah.
Like there's been like times, so, I mean, I've been playing since I'm year 5. When I lack confidence, I am just the worst player, and I get the ball, pass it off straight away. Like I get a rebound. I don't want to dribble. Like I'm going to get a turnover. Let me pass it off straight away. You know, you get a ball and you're open for a 3-point shot. I'm not shooting that. I'm going to miss it.
Yes.
But I just played a basketball tournament, and when you're confident, it's just like, give me that thing and let me take it. I'm going straight to the rim. You know, like I can make this. I can be confident. And it affects you so much in how you play.
It's actually crazy how much confidence affects you. I wish it didn't affect humans as much as it does, Because it's like you kind of wish that your just actual hard work that you put into it would just be enough. But
it's a cheat code, like
confidence. But you see some of those basketball players though, and I feel like they're like so into themselves, and it's like even prideful kind of confidence, which is like,
well, it's arrogance there.
Do you think like? I don't know, like looking at pro sportsmen, like I personally like people like Federer and like Nadal that are a bit more like humble, or I'm talking about tennis players. Do you guys? Yeah, you guys.
Tennis Djokovic,
Federer and Nadal. Yeah.
I know all about them.
Like, but people that are like super up themselves, like can go really well as well. Like they say MJ was kind of like that. So,
I don't know if this is gonna make sense, but do you think good and bad thoughts are the same between positive and negative thoughts? Like
good and bad.
Like over good thoughts.
No, I'm just
like,
okay.
I think
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to process in my brain.
Yeah.
But for example, are all negative thoughts bad thoughts and are all positive thoughts good thoughts? I'm trying to think from the perspective of like a positive thought is like thinking positively about yourself, but you can go too far positively about yourself and actually become quite prideful and be like. And no longer becomes a good thought.
I've actually had that with a friend. I had a friend that said to me, "Oh, like sometimes I just like always assume that people are thinking good things about me, and it's like I know it's wrong." And he's like, but I always just think like when I walk past like people are like, "Oh, he's the man" or something, and I was like. I've like never heard that before. I was like, that's crazy, bro. I was like, that's rare as. Like usually it's the other way around. But he was conscious enough to realize, like this is kind of weird. Like this ain't normal, and this ain't actually helping me as well. So like I think there is like two sides to it.
Yeah.
But
I get what you mean, Levi. I think it's just like what the words mean. Like I think you can have like negative thoughts if it's like constructive criticism. Like like you're thinking negatively. Like I slept until 11:30 a.m. and I'm late for work, and you kind of have this thought where it's like you're a little bit annoyed at yourself, but it's kind of okay. Like it's kind of valid. Like I probably should feel a little bit. I don't know if guilt is the word, but I should feel this little conviction because I was late for work. I slept until 11:30.
Yes,
I should feel that.
Yes. Yeah, that's not a negative thought. That's just like
that's just like you've done something wrong, bro.
But you can still beat yourself up about it. You can totally
I think there's a
get down on
line where it's
yourself.
just like, I've learnt my lesson. You need to stop just beating yourself up.
Yeah.
It's not like you're gonna drive like I'm such a stupid person and like
people
like,
could. People
yeah,
could.
genuinely people could like.
I do it sometimes. Sometimes like
I do it too actually.
You know, so it's a great example for me. Sometimes I set goals that I want to. A while ago, I was like, okay, I want to start being an on-time person.
Yeah.
And I'd be driving to somewhere, and I'm like, shoot, I'm going to be 5-10 minutes late. And in my head, it's be like, well, I'm doing it again. Why am I late? You know. And I start beating myself up. I'm like, okay, no, like take it in. It's all right. Like it's happened now. We get over it. Next time we'll be on time. You know.
Yeah. And I was kind of like what you're saying, Tremaine, before. Now I think about it, I think you can genuinely change your mood and your emotions by the way you think. You know, like if you can change, like if you're having, some thoughts that go in your head and you're actually like, is this, do I actually need to be thinking about this right now? Like it's happened, and you process that it's actually happened. It's like, oh, it's happened. oh, well, I'll move on. You know
That's
what I mean?
that's
Like,
quite a good skill to do
you
that.
can-
A lot of people would
yeah.
struggle to do that.
It is
Yeah.
like, you know, I think it's.
Do you think you're quite good at that?
I think I'm getting better. I think
Yeah.
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I still go through like the patterns, you know?
Yeah.
But I think I'm
Yeah.
getting better. Yeah.
Dang, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I love this voice. I had a little goal this podcast. Not a goal, but I was like, I want to see if we can get a bit of silence there. But no, it's good.
I feel like when you're in silence, lots of negative thoughts happen as well because you're like,
We're screwing up
That's
the podcast.
interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
yeah,
Like,
I'm going to throw, okay,
we're
big.
bad, we're bad
What was going on in our minds?
What we were thinking right
we
now.
were thinking,
What did we all...
we just made perfect content right now, boys.
Let's break it down. What were we all thinking during that silence?
Everyone,
Okay, let's all be honest. What did we think? Should I start?
we're getting really vulnerable here.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I want to be so honest. I was like, okay, you know what? We've been talking about bringing stories to the podcast. I was like, okay, I'll bring a good story to the podcast. I started thinking about a story, and I was like, oh shoot, I completely zoned out to what Levi said. And I just missed completely what you said. So you finished, and I was like, oh shoot, I missed what you
We
said.
appreciate the honesty, Ezra.
Yeah, I was just fully being me. What did you guys think?
I think I was thinking, I don't know what to say. I was like, it's been 10 minutes, and like, is this a wrap? Like, I was like thinking, like, yeah, like, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm hoping Ezra's got something.
You boys both looked at me, and I was like, mean.
Yeah.
What were you thinking, Levi?
Honestly, I was thinking, I don't know what to say, and I was like, oh, this is really bad. People are going to think like it's getting boring, and
Yeah.
I was probably thinking
Yeah.
like, what will people think? Yeah.
People are zoning
It
out.
is actually hard with a podcast because we do have you guys there, and like, you don't want to get too wrapped up in it.
Wrapped up in what?
What other people think and stuff.
Yeah.
With the podcast, but it's
you
still
do at the same
but
time.
we're still trying to
'cause
create
we wanna-
value for you guys,
create
and we do
value.
really like care at the same time. So yeah, it's a bit of a
Yeah.
balance.
I think you can tell a whole lot when people have kind of confidence, but have heaps of negative thoughts about themselves. I think you can tell. It's pretty clear when someone
Yeah. Do you think? Okay.
does.
Do you
Not
think
always.
thoughts
Not always.
thoughts have a persona?
What do you mean by that?
Like from what you said, is from what we learn from studies and what we know is like, Ezra, I have no idea what you're thinking about right now. Like, I literally have no idea what you're thinking about it. But do you reckon from your persona that you're giving off, I can tell if you're
You
having
tell
positive
what I'm
negative thoughts? Yeah.
Oh, I think you. Okay, I got to have something interesting to say.
Okay,
Were you gonna
okay.
go? Do you want to say something?
No,
right
no, I feel like you guys are in some gold here.
now? Okay, I do have some gold. We were at a place, and you guys were there. A bunch of other people. I don't want to say where, but
Yeah.
we're at a place, a bunch of people, and everyone's yarning. We're at like there's some like parents and stuff there, and some older adults. Everyone's
I
chatting.
love how I'm trying to work it out of my head. Where
I
is
can
it?
tell you guys afterwards.
Yeah,
but
okay.
everyone's chatting, and I remember just feeling like, and the other people there that we're really, really close with. I was like, I just have like no one. Everyone's in conversation right now. I have no one to talk to, and in my head, I'm just beating myself up. I'm like, I just feel like everyone's getting along so well, and look, oh, they're getting along with the parents. Like I should be doing that. I should be better at this.
Yeah.
And like these are my close friends, but I feel like I just like in this moment I have no one to talk to, and I was just standing there, kind of just like beating myself up, and then one of the people sitting just like 2 meters away was like, "Oh, you're good, Israel. Like you don't look so good. You look like you're like not such a great place. I think you might remember this, Levi, maybe." And I was like, why is that? She's like, I could just totally tell by the way you're standing. And I looked at myself and I had my arms closed. My arms were crossed. I was kind of just standing in the corner of the room. And so I think that was a great example. I was having these negative thoughts and it was very clear.
That's crazy because you're not actually a guy that I would think that would happen to you, you know?
Yeah. But in that scenario I was beating
Yeah.
myself up for it.
Yeah.
So I think you can tell pretty clearly.
Yeah. I think if you know someone really well, and I think some people can be very good at telling.
Yeah, some people are better than others.
Yeah.
When you get an empath, like when they're good at empathy,
Oh, that's
Like-
feel your emotions.
they can they like feel it to a different degree. Like my mum's like she's got extreme empathy, like, and they can like fully like look at, like my mum could look at me and see what's wrong,
Really?
and then I'm like, as a kid, like I'd say nothing, and she was like, "What's wrong?" And then I'd start crying, and it'd be something big at school,
because you know.
and it's like she would know, and I would be pretty like good at like hiding it as well. I remember there's sometimes like, "What's wrong?" You know,
Yeah.
it's like pretty crazy, like how people realize that.
They can tell.
Like that girl, or
Yeah, like the
mystery woman.
mystery women.
Do you think it's positive then to talk about your emotions and actually process them or process your thoughts to others as well?
Say it again. Do you think it's important to process your emotions?
Do you think it's important to process your thoughts?
I feel like
to others?
Totally. Yeah,
I feel like a lot of them, like, because we have so many, and if 80% of our thoughts are negative, like, a lot of them would be pretty useless. Because you think about even the 20% that are positive, a lot are pretty useless for me. There's probably only a few select that I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good suggestion. I am quite hungry. I do need to go to the bathroom. But other than that, like, you know, like, think about how many thoughts actually lead to action. Probably very few.
Yes.
Because we don't take.
I don't know. I would argue maybe more than you think.
Really? Because we're
I
always.
guess it's 70,000. So
I feel like you're over like
Yeah.
every thought leading to you speak and to like where you're going. Like, oh man, like
I study a stat that I read did say we have, around about, I don't know for sure, but about 70,000 thoughts a day, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a
But you
flippin'
do
lot.
so many things off just habit. You know what I mean? Like you might, scratch your head. You're not actually thinking about that. But you must think about it at some point.
Yeah, totally. It's funny, we talked before the pod about, for example, I remember in primary school, I think a question once was, oh, like, are you a creative person? And that quickly just like, am I a creative person? Yes or no? And it's funny, in that moment, you can't say yes, I am, or no, I'm not. And then from then on, it's kind of, like, I think everyone can be a creative person, and everyone has their own braining and say stuff like that. But from that simple question, just like, oh no, I'm not a creative person. And then every time it comes across something creative, oh, don't put me there, I'm not creative.
Yes. I'm an introvert. Like, I can't handle a
Yeah.
party.
Don't put me in social situations.
Yeah.
I can't talk well.
Yeah, I don't get emotional intelligence or or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
Which can be quite interesting because a lot of what we do today in the world around us, it is very like self-evaluate yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, are you good? Are you bad? Do this, do that. Strengths, weaknesses.
Yeah.
It's very self.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing though. Have you heard anything, Levi, where you've like kind of made a idea or had like strong thoughts thinking that you're bad at something and then kind of turned around and saying, oh, hold up.
That's a great question.
I'm actually not that bad at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to think of a specific example, but through obviously I'm dyslexic, so I've always thought for myself from a young age, I'm not good at reading and writing and spelling, and so have been through a long journey of myself, discovering that, hey, look, I might not be the best reader, but I can read, and now these days I can pick up a book and I can give it a read. I might get a few words wrong, but now I truly believe that I can read, and I actually I am a good reader. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I think doing it consistently, doing it every few days has made an exponential difference in my reading. But for a lot of my childhood, I believed I wasn't a good reader, and so I didn't even give it a go. But because I didn't even give it a go, there was no room for improvement.
Yeah. I'm also dyslexic, so I remember in when I was younger I had a lisp, and like when I read stuff out or in class, like I would just like choke it, and just like people would just like would tease me a little bit, but I was always harsher on myself like for having it. Like I was so like harsh, like I don't know, like I couldn't listen to myself from recording because my thoughts would go crazy because I'd hate the way I sounded as a kid and stuff. And I noticed like now, like when I have to read something out loud to like a group of people, I had to do it in uni once, and like I just started choking. Like I just couldn't do it.
Really?
Because like, and it wasn't because I couldn't. I can read stuff out like all the time. I actually did a presentation last week and I was fine. I feel like I've got a lot better. But for so long, it was just I had told myself in my head for so long, you've got a lisp. For so long, it's like because I don't have a lisp anymore. No. The word they really side note, they really screwed on people over with the word lisp and dyslexia. Can we just say like you're really just trying to
How
prove
the
it?
crap do you spell
Yeah, it's
dyslexia?
like-
That's a great.
But the thing is, like, I didn't have a lisp for so long, but in my head I was still the kid with the lisp, you know?
Yeah.
And I was still the kid that couldn't speak right, but like I can read a script and sound perfectly normal. If anything, I can read it with a bit of emotion as well and be quite good. So it just it showed me. I'm like, whoa, that was in my head. You know, that wasn't even true.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
yeah.
You can truly believe something, and the way you think about it can actually become reality. You know, to
Yeah,
yourself.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah.
Like those core beliefs. That's another thing that comes from kind of your thinking. Like you can create core beliefs that are wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you could think that, yeah, I'm bad at reading.
Yeah.
Like what you said, Levi. Well, if someone found out you read the Bible every day, I don't know if you read the Bible every day, but do you? Most days? Yeah. Yeah. Kind of assumed. Like people are like, man, you're a reader.
Yeah.
You're a reader. Like if you read if you read every day, just about every day, you're a reader, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and for so long you're like, but I've had this belief for so
Yes,
long. Like
yeah.
I'm not a
Yeah.
reader. I'm
Yeah.
dyslexic. I can't read.
Yeah.
Like what are you saying? I had the same thing with reading actually, and then I made a thing, like. I used to say to people, "Oh, I've only read Green Eggs and Ham as a kid. Like, like I couldn't finish Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It was too complicated for me.
Yes.
Like,
And
I
you just speak that of yourself.
yeah, I spoke. I'm not a reader. And then one day I'm like, me and my older sister, who's also dyslexic, like we would go down to Whonga and we created book club. It was an excuse to eat a whole lot of chocolate and read. So, and then I read like Steve Jobs' book, my first book, and then like I'd probably average about 8 books a year. I go down to the op shop and I buy
You're a
books.
reader.
I just bought a book for $80 on Trade Me last week. So
Yeah.
that sounds like really reader style.
And I think what it goes back to is you said when you put an action to it. I remember when I finished my first book, it's like I finished a whole book. Like, I finished a whole book.
And it's actually a mean
Like
feeling as well,
I believe myself I can read it because I've now finished a whole book and I've done it. Like no one can tell me I'm not a reader because I've finished a whole book.
Bro, I've actually got another example of how crazy that mindset I've had as well. I used to like, for so long I thought I was dumb because I was also dyslexic. Not all dyslexics think them dumb. I got dumb. Like a lot of them are actually very smart, to be honest. But I thought that because I was always in the lowest reading class. I don't know if you like this in primary school when they kind of like ranked it. Like, we know what's up. I know what's up when I like.
They call like special English, but like
Yeah, I was in special English. I didn't get to take a language in year 9 and 10. And then I had a reader writer. And then in year 13, I decided I'm not going to have a reader writer. I just want to see if I'm actually smart. I'm not saying having a reader writer doesn't make you smart, but I actually used it. My reader writer used to help me quite a lot. we had a good relationship. I was like, this is actually probably a bit too good. So I did it by myself. I remember getting my grades back, and I think I got a few like merits and excellences for my like externals. I went more hard on than internals, and I remember just saying I would never want to like look into it that much or like look at them because I always thought they made a mistake.
When you got
every time I get a grade back, I'm like, oh, they've made. And I used to think this in year 12, and I was merit endorsed, and I was just like, I always felt like I was gonna get found out that somehow they made a mistake and my grades weren't real.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, like to the like max, and like even in uni, I was like, I was getting good grades when I started, and I was just like, oh, are they gonna like somehow I'm hacking the system here? I'm cheating, but only realized like recently, like I've got my last exam coming up next week. I'm like, oh, I'm not cheating. I'm actually just trying hard. Like I'm actually just working hard, and you know, I'm not dumb. You know, I'm not like, I just had this wrong belief that made me think, and I called myself an imposter because I wanted to keep that belief that was false, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted to hold this belief that was false, but in reality, I'm sorry, but like the facts go against this belief. It's not true. And like now I don't hold that belief. If anything, like I want to get educated. I want to learn more. I'm doing my chartered accounting, which is, it's pretty hard, you know, but I think I can
Pretty
do
flipping
it.
hard,
You know?
I'll
Yeah.
second that. I mean, I don't do it, but you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
any accounting papers I take for
Yeah,
you
bro,
know,
they are
stuff
actually
like
pretty
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
And you think about, like, you take that example, you think about how many other things, you know, in your life, you know, that you don't even realize that you have negative thoughts about. You're like, how much more possibility, you know? Where could I be pushing myself, you know?
Yeah, what am I limiting myself from right
Yeah,
now that
yeah.
I still think I'm bad at?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're lucky, like we've been brought up in loving households as well, and you know you kind of think encouraging households, and we still have these false beliefs. Man, you know, you just got to feel for the people that didn't get brought up like that, that
Yes.
actually have just everything that is just a false belief. Everything
Yes.
isn't real, you know,
For sure.
which is really sad.
I've also noticed that some like close friends, what they say to you, like funny enough, you wouldn't think it. You're like, oh, like my close friends are. Anyway, little like jokes from close friends, they often get into that determines what your mind can say. And I'd
Yes.
imagine your family as well. Let's say you'd growing up a really negative family that was just, you know, just like jokes here and there, like, oh, he's dumb, you know,
Yeah.
or something like that. Like that would totally get into your brain, and you would just
Yes.
start believing that stuff. Like,
Yeah,
oh, you know, they always say it. Yeah, that's
or like you
that's
got
true.
big ears, or something like that.
Ye-
Even like if
yeah.
your family said that to you, or even about their appearance and stuff.
Yeah, it's funny, and sometimes you can just get like imposter syndrome about the most random crap. Like,
Yeah, and then like sometimes like
bro, I said it to you once. I'm so sorry.
you
Did
got
you want
it.
to go?
No, you go, bro. You go.
I said it to Tremaine once.
Yeah.
One like, there was a few instances when I was younger. I took my shoes off, and they stunk like
yeah,
crap.
yeah.
They stunk really really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for so long, I just remember telling myself, I'm Ezra Bond, and I have the stinkiest feet in the world.
Really?
And I just believed it
Yeah.
from the bottom of my soul that I have stinky feet. And probably just like, not necessarily myself was stinky, but just my feet were stinky. And like,
Yes.
so I wouldn't take my shoes off when I go to people's houses.
Really?
Yep, I would like I would always at least keep my socks on, so I wasn't trying to like, you know, get the stench out. Like,
Bro, you don't have smelly feet.
I remember I would like whatever it was, I would shower before going to places. I would like
Really?
put extra
Yeah.
soap on my feet because I just believed it in my head, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I realize, okay, probably, you know, if after a game of sport, I'm sure my feet stink,
Yes,
stink a
yes.
bit,
Yeah.
but not more. I really believe
It was irrational, eh?
I remember
Yes.
there was an instance
yeah.
with Tremaine.
I,
Right?
yeah.
You know what it was. We were at a dance party one time, and I walked outside because I wanted to take my Birks off for a bit. I walked outside, took my Birks off, and Tremaine walks outside. He's like, oh, why are you outside here? And I was like, oh, like, I just want to take my Birks off because it's like, it's going to stink if I take my Birks off in there.
Yeah.
And it was just so, and I kind of had this realization with Tremaine at that moment. I'm like, why am I actually believing this? Like, like I'm sure they do stink a little bit here and there, but like this actual like built-in thing in my head of like, I can't let people find this out, and it was like actually gripping me a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. I realized because when you told me, I thought it was a bit more of a joke at first. So I'd say a few jokes. And then every time I did the joke, it's not like you would just like laugh. You would actually get self-conscious. And I was like, oh, like he genuinely believes that he's actually got smelly feet. But
And
you
that's
don't.
that's what I mean is
Yeah.
when sometimes a friend can say that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you. I
Yeah,
don't remember
yeah,
this instance, but
yeah.
and you can like laugh it off, but that stuff then just like sticks if
If
they
you
continue to say it. Like, oh yeah, that's who I am.
Yeah.
I actually just, if it was more like for me, I was kind of just, I guess I don't care about it. Well, and you did care about it at the time, but now you probably see how ridiculous it was.
Like, I don't care about it. And I could joke about something for one of you boys.
I understand. Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, who gives a crap about it? But to you, it
Well,
means a
you
lot.
I've just got such a weird nose, and if you
Yeah.
like just stop being like
Yeah, like, oh, weird
ridiculous,
nose, weird
you know,
nose, but like,
Yeah.
but like if you believe you've actually got a weird nose, like and even if you did, like who really cares?
and you hear when people are self-conscious about stuff, and you're like, why do you give a crap
Yeah.
about that? Like,
And
I
you
love
always-
you for who you are.
Yeah, you always think more about yourself than what other people are thinking about you as well.
Totally.
You know what I mean? You always dwell on it more. It's like, oh, like myself, you know?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just shows how
Do I
like,
have
You don't
weird-
give a crap
how
someone
many-
else's, you know.
Yeah, someone else knows. Oh well, you know.
Yeah, I love you for who you are. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
I
who
kind
cares
of find
what
that
it is?
scary that you can actually like build false beliefs in your head.
You can.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like humans actually way more irrational than we think, and that's kind of part of the reason I got inspired to start putting statistics on the podcast. I said a few facts to Ezra when we went to Rainbow's End together. I was like, this is ridiculous. These statistics are shocking about how irrational humans are
Yeah.
and the things we do that make utter no sense. And I just found it really interesting. I'm trying to,
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking right now in my own life, how can I be on the offense rather than the defense? You know what I mean? Like, how can I be speaking positive things over other people and myself rather than being like, oh, like I'm so bad, like, oh no, like, you know, like almost like the enemy is attacking you and you're like on the defense, like, oh yes, maybe I'm so bad, like, oh sorry, yes, like maybe I do have a big nose, you know, but rather on the offense and be like, actually, no, like, I'm gonna hit this with confidence, and actually be on the offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and when someone says something to you, actually, like, actually, hold up, let me not just defend that, but let me actually confront that. You know what I mean?
Or even the belief you've got, like let's say Ezra's, I got this belief I've got stinky feet. Okay, like instead of being like, I got stinky feet or whatever, I do really think I have stinky feet. Let's put it to the test. No,
test it.
No. But you put it to the test with your family. I'm gonna
Stinky.
leave my shoes in the thing.
Yeah.
And see if anyone noticed. And then, no one noticed, you know?
Yes,
Or you could say, I'm going to play basketball in these socks and just take the socks off and walk around the house. Does anyone notice? No one noticed. And I guess if someone noticed, it wouldn't be too good. It might actually feed the belief.
And
of
sometimes
everyone.
if it's okay, maybe I do slightly stinky feet. I need to wash my feet, you know, or I need to.
But you could put practical steps into place.
That's normal. Like everyone's got a smelly sock. Like everyone picks a sock off the ground. It's like, oh, this. I'm sure this will go another round.
Anyone
No,
taking
it
their shoe
won't.
off?
No, it won't. Oh my.
Anyone taking their shoe off after sport? There's gonna be a stench.
Oh,
like,
bro, have you seen my Birks? I got a sweaty foot. Like even after touch tonight, like I remember like taking my boot off and I was like, Tyler, look at this. Like this is some mad sweat on my feet. And I guess if you're self-conscious about that, you wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, look how like there's like my socks wet. Like I've never seen this before. Like,
that's something I would have never done. Like you know, a few years back or whatever. For a long while, I don't know if I've told you guys this before, but I just built into my head like I can't sing. I'm a very bad singer. Like I have the worst voice. ever.
I know that's valid.
Shut your mouth. And I really believed it. And so probably a few years back, I recorded my voice and I played it back. Yeah, and it was dog crap. It was horrible. I was right.
Nah,
you're really, really bad.
It's pretty hard to sing, bro.
I'm just joking. I made that up. I made that up. I actually think I'm right. You agreed.
I was gonna say like, well, now's the time for action, bro. You gotta action it.
Just like you were fully on it.
I was joking, and you guys were like, "Yeah, well, it's all right. It's all right."
Yeah,
I was joking. Okay.
I feel like definitely with the podcast, you can think about this as well. Like because I know a lot of people don't like hearing themselves on video or on speaking. I guess when we have to see ourselves every week, over time, even if like when I first heard myself speak, I might have been more critical. So I might have had this belief, I don't sound as good as other people.
Yes.
But over time, I think you just naturally, when I'm doing an action, I'm choosing to do this podcast every week.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to put my voice out to everyone. Over time, when I listen to it, I couldn't care less about how I sound on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I guess that just took time. And because think about, for me, especially for me, I had a lisp and I cared so much. You know, I used to, like I said earlier, I used to care heaps. But like, just an example of like irrational belief.
Yeah.
Like, can actually easily disappear as well. You don't have to be stuck with these kind of like your foot thing, your reading thing. Yeah.
It's so funny. Like no one would ever think you have a weird voice. Yeah. But in your head, like 10 times out of 10, people would like listen to their voice back in a record and be like, "Oh, what is that?" You know?
I'm the rare.
We all did that.
I'm the rare case, of like weird voice.
Yeah, I have weird voice.
Yeah.
Everyone's voice is normal, but I have the weird one.
Yeah. I feel like this has actually been a bit of a banging episode because it's like the hiddenness that no one talks about.
Yeah, we're breaking down walls here. Eh?
Yeah.
Well, I love. We went a little bit longer with this one. You know, why not? We're gonna need the real ones on right now.
Yeah.
Any shout outs to the real ones, guys?
Yeah. If you're real, just write real in the comments or something like that.
I'm
You
a
probably
real
won't.
I'm a real fan.
We've noticed that every time we ask anyone to put anything in the comments, it doesn't happen.
Should we shout out people who are listening right now? Like, should we
Yeah.
guess who it is?
Should we guess who the real ones are?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna say Duncan. Just
Duncan?
gonna chuck Duncan out.
Duncan, hopefully.
I'll chuck 2 people out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like a Sam Williams. A Sam Williams
Okay.
would be
Sam
listening.
Williams?
Thanks, Sam.
And I got to check out the girlfriend as well. So I feel like an Emily would be.
Emily
Wood. Emily
Emily,
Wood.
thank
Show.
you, thank you.
Uh,
Hold up, Bronte, if you're listening, thank you.
Love you, Bronte.
Appreciate it.
Lulu
thanks.
Denham.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you say you
Lulu.
listen to our pods. So all people are shouting out. You better comment and say I was
Yeah.
there. Otherwise,
They
you
might
won't.
be listening on Spotify though. We need to give them
True.
the.
But
Okay.
they can jump on.
Yeah, they can go on.
YouTube.
I think there's comments on
That's-
Spotify.
Really?
Apparently, yeah.
Ah.
I've seen it on some big podcasts.
True. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, are we missing anyone?
People who
And
listen.
if we've missed your name, comment because then we know.
Yeah, now we know who the regulars are. I
Yeah.
think I've heard like Hamish say he listens before.
Okay. Tom Fletcher.
Tom Fletcher listens a little
he
bit. So
listens
yeah, let us
now.
know.
Yeah.
Like just Jonty. Jonty still listening.
Jonty better be listening right now.
Yeah.
Flip,
Yeah.
Jonty better be listening.
comments.
Jordan Honick, come on.
Yeah.
Quinn Thompson, you better be listening to this
Quinn,
right now.
yeah.
Cam Brown.
Cam Brown,
Yeah.
hopefully Cam Brown's listening right now.
Hopefully. Yeah.
And if we don't know your name, then comment so we can now shout you out.
Yeah, like we've had a few people that are like really sending. We're saying this at the start of the podcast. Some really nice comments on the podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're like, we want to know you.
It means
like,
a lot.
These
Yeah.
comments, like, yeah, they're on.
There's probably 20 people listening right now. So just all 20 of you, put your name down there.
Yeah, but let's wrap it up, boys. Yeah.
Thanks
for listening to another episode of the Vanilla Podcast.
Our voices were all in like such unison there. Right? Yeah. Thanks. That was a banger.